Welcome to Biff's Mystery Theater. I have many tales to tell you. Ghost stories, murder stories, and tales that will make your bones chill. Join me, won't you? For Theater of the Mind, where you always have the best seat in the house. Now close your eyes and turn off the lights.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Happy to have you with me. It gets lonely in here sometimes when it's dark and quiet, and there's no one for company except the strange and brooding spirits. But we're not staying here for long. We're on our way to Connecticut to visit a little house on an out-of-the-way dirt road called Chimney Lane. If you're interested in country property, you might be interested in it. But then again, you may not. You see, the house is vacant. Not because nobody wants to buy it. The owner is afraid to sell it.
There isn't a real estate agent in the county who touched that house, including me.
But it's so perfect for us.
No, Mrs. Sage, the house on Chimney Pot Lane can never be lived in again.
Now you're going to say it's haunted.
That would be nothing, Mr. Sage, compared to whatever evil is in that house.
Our mystery drama, The House on Chimney Pot Lane, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Bob Jurin and stars Marion Seldes. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and True Value Hardware Stores. I'll be back shortly with Act One. I'd like you to meet two friends of mine, Jim and Marion Sage. They're a playwriting team who have just had a hit play open on Broadway. They've been writing for years, living frugally in a small apartment in Greenwich Village, and at last they've hit the big time, as the saying goes. Their new financial security is making a dream come true, the dream of a house of their own in the country, where they could enjoy life while they continued to write their plays. And that's what led them to Connecticut and the house on Chimney Pot Lane.
I'm Mrs. Green. Can I help you?
Yes. You seem to be the only real estate agent in town, and we're interested in knowing something about a house.
Sit down, please.
Thank you. I'm Jim Sage, my wife Marion.
How do you do?
Hello.
We are the only realtors in this village, and we do have a lot of beautiful listings.
We're interested in one particular house. We passed it this afternoon, peeked in the windows. It seemed to be empty, and we wondered if it's for sale and if you might have a key.
We usually have our sign out in front of the houses for sale. Did you see it?
Oh, no, there was no sign.
Do you remember where it was?
Oh, yes. It was the end of a narrow road called Chimney Pot Lane.
Chimney Pot Lane? That house?
Yes. We fell in love with it, and we were hoping...
That house definitely isn't for sale.
Oh, dear. Why is it vacant, then?
The owner closed it up and moved to Florida.
Well, I thought houses were at a premium around here.
The house on Chimney Pot Lane can never be lived in again.
Well, now you're going to say that it's haunted.
We're not generally given to superstition here, Mr. Sage, but things happened in that house that no one can turn their back on.
Like what?
We don't talk about it anymore, but...
Please.
Well, there was nothing wrong until 5 years ago when a group of cultists moved into the house. No one knows what kind of things they were up to, but they left, and then things started.
What kind of things?
Well, the next family that owned it disappeared entirely. Just like that. I mean, water still in the tub, breakfast things on the table. Never heard from again.
And, there was more?
The next owner just abandoned it. Wouldn't tell anybody what happened. And finally, Ed Hagen, who owns it now, tried to burn it down, and, well, that was the capper.
Capper?
Now, the place wouldn't burn. Fire started in the kitchen, burned for almost an hour before the fire department was notified, and no more damage than one kitchen wall. That house is bewitched.
Can you give us the address of this Mr. Hagen?
He won't sell.
Well, we'd at least like to ask.
Very well, but you're wasting your time.
Do you believe what she said?
Well, what happened may be true, but I don't think it's evil spirits. There's just some explanation that no one wanted to look for.
Want to swing by and take another look?
Oh, I'd love to.
Hey, Marion. Hey, come around here.
What is it?
Look, the boards are loose on this window. I didn't notice it before. You want to go in?
You think we should?
Well, Mr. Hagen's in Florida. We got to see the inside if we're serious about buying.
Let's go.
Good. And now this ought to come off easy. There you go. And I give you a hand up.
Not high. There. That's easy.
Yeah. Well, here I come.
We're in a pantry.
Yeah, light's kind of dim. Mike, come on. Hey, here's the kitchen. Oh, that's where the fire was, huh?
It was strange, wasn't it? I mean, that the whole house didn't burn?
Well, I still don't think black magic had anything to do with it.
Look how charming. A sunken living room.
Hey, with a fireplace. Paneling's in good condition, too.
And a den, Jim. Look over here.
Hey, yeah. Might make a good workroom for us.
Oh, isn't it perfect? And a fireplace in here, too? Oh, I'm falling more in love with it every minute.
Hey, check that circular staircase, huh?
I can't imagine a better place for us, Jim. Oh, let's see if we can get in touch with Mr. Hagen.
I'm with you. I'm ready to take it, evil spirits and all.
And maybe we'll even write a play about it.
Look, let's get back to the city. I'll try to call Mr. Hagen tonight. Okay. Yeah, thanks very much, Mr. Hagen. We'll have our attorney handle things. Thanks. Goodbye.
It's ours?
Well, that was Hagen's son. Old Mr. Hagen died last year. His son's only too glad to get rid of the house.
How long will it take?
A couple of weeks, maybe. I'll get Fred to handle the details.
Oh, I hope we're in by Christmas. I'm going to ask Georgia to give us some advice on the decorating. Broadway's #1 set designer ought to have some good ideas for a country house with a resident evil spirit. Isn't it beautiful, Georgia?
Oh, it is. I've got a dozen ideas already. I would suggest cutting through the pantry and combining it with the kitchen.
Take a look at the den, George. You know, we want something dramatic in there.
Okay. Oh, isn't this cozy fireplace bay window?
We're thinking of some sort of bold wallpaper. You see, that one wall is so...
unbroken. Yeah, something dramatic. Hey! I've got it. How about a photo mural?
Not a bad idea. Got something in mind?
I do. You want a little flair. I think I've got just the thing.
What?
A jungle scene complete with lion, birds, ferns, vines.
That sounds exciting.
Do you know the photographer Elliot Mann?
No.
Well, he's an old friend from college. He's been in Africa and took some incredible shots. One would make a terrific mural for that wall.
Well, let's take a look.
I'll borrow some slides from Elliot. I think it might be perfect. It would certainly be unique.
It's really sensational, George.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. I was having some doubts that it might be too overpowering.
Oh, no, I love it. It makes the whole room seem larger.
Yeah, it's like having an indoor garden, you know, with all those vines and ferns.
And that lion on the rock. And the tropical bird, it's so dramatic. I can't wait for the housewarming to see people's reactions.
Oh, by the way, I'm bringing Elliot to the party. He's anxious to know how the mural turned out.
Great. It'll be nice to meet him. It's a week from Saturday, you know.
You two have certainly done wonders in the month and a half you've been in here.
With your help.
Well, the place was in pretty good shape.
You haven't met up with any of those celebrated evil spirits, have you?
No, not a one. The house is as normal as we are.
Well, where there is something evil or psychic or whatever, you can usually sense it.
We haven't felt anything but happiness in all the weeks we've been living here. I'll get it. Georgia, come in.
Oh, it's starting to snow.
The forecast said snow and freezing rain.
Wow. Marion, this is Elliot Mann.
Hi. Nice to be here.
I'm delighted you could come. And we love your photograph.
Oh.
I guess you know that.
Well, I'm happy it worked out so well.
Come on in, meet everybody. And we'll show you how the wall looks.
That is impressive. The details held up beautifully in the blow-up. Yeah, the feeling of realism is incredible. Everybody's talking about it. Well, I'll never forget shooting that photo. The stupid lion attacked us a second after I snapped. Chased our car for almost a mile before he gave up.
Well, you have to expect those things when you gallop around Africa.
The animals weren't as dangerous as the natives. They were a wicked bunch in that part of the bush. They're headhunters, primitive, superstitious, and utterly ruthless.
I'll stay in the good old USA, thanks.
They refuse to be photographed, if anyone's foolish enough to get close enough to try.
Why?
Well, it's a common belief among many primitive people that the camera captures their soul. They're deadly afraid of cameras. Yeah, I've heard that.
Needless to say, you didn't get any shots.
Oh, not of the headhunters. It wasn't worth the risk.
Hold on a minute. I think you might be mistaken, Elliot.
What do you mean?
I've never noticed it before. We've had the mural up for 2 weeks, but I just didn't see it till now. Look, through the leaves down in this corner. It's the face of a man.
Let me see that.
Oh, it's a face, all right. You probably didn't know he was there when you took the picture.
He couldn't have been. There wasn't a native for 10 miles around. Anyway, I would have seen it on the slide. Well, maybe the blow-up brought it out. It's just a trick of the lighting. You're right, Marion. It does resemble one of the bushmen. When you stand back, it looks like a face. It's just the pattern of the leaves and ferns. There's no real face there.
Oh, yes, I see it now.
It looks like the real thing to me.
You probably can find lots of images in those leaves. The dappled sunlight does it.
Looking for things in the mural will give Jim and me something to do when we hit those writing blocks.
Marion, some of the gang's starting to leave, and they're worried about getting back to the city in the storm. It's turning to sleep.
Look at it out there.
Yes, I'm glad you invited me to stay the night.
Well, I'd better start back, too. I'm leaving for Wyoming in the morning.
Oh, it's a shame to wind things up so soon. I wish we could put everybody up.
You better not wait any longer, Elliot. It turned to sleet, all right. It's a fairyland. Everything is ice.
The sun on those trees. It's fantastic.
And we're without a phone. Branches are down all over the place. I'm going into town.
Oh, the joys of winter in suburbia. I hope the crowd made it back safe last night.
Well, I'm sure they did. I'll be back as soon as I can. I've got to get phone company out here, and then I'm going to get a haircut. I'll see you later.
Drive carefully, dear. Let's take our coffee into the den, Georgia.
Okay.
I'll stir up the fire. There's some embers left from last night.
Oh, it really is beautiful out there. The scene through the bay window almost looks like a painting itself.
Georgia.
What?
Look over here. The face I saw in the leaves last night.
Hey. Where is it?
But that's what I mean. It's gone.
Good morning, ma'am. Your phone company.
Yes, come in. I saw you working on the wires. That was fast.
Well, I was in the area when I got the call. Weather like this keeps us busy.
Oh, I can imagine.
Well, I've got to check the instrument now.
Of course, this way. Phone's in the den. Would you like some coffee?
No. Thanks very much. I got to get going when I check you out.
Okay. The phone's right in there.
Thank you.
And if you change your mind about the coffee, just say so. It's already made.
Thank you. Let's see here. Operator, this is Maxwell checking 0419. Right, okay. Let me get that down. 41 Chestnut Court. Okay, I'll head there next. Right. What is this? No! Get back! Get back! Get back! No!
Did you hear what I think I heard? In Jim and Marion's den? Perhaps we were mistaken. What really happened, of course, was that the phone man turned around and saw... Well, come to think of it, what did he see? Perhaps we'll find out about that and more about this house on Chimney Pot Lane when I return shortly with Act 2. I'm happy you've returned. You see, as your host, I have to be here. And after what I heard a few moments ago, I'd just as soon not be here alone. Thanks for your company. I suppose you heard it, too, that ominous growl right in the middle of a pleasant Connecticut home, and it certainly gave our telephone repairman a turn. He couldn't believe his ears or his eyes. But then, here on Mystery Theater, lots of things happen that are hard to believe. And that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Hello? Yes? Oh, yes, he was here. Just a minute. Yes, his truck's still in the driveway, so he must have gone outside again. All right, I'll have him call right in.
What's that all about?
Phone company. They want to talk to the repairman. Did you see him go out?
No.
I left him in here checking the phone. That was at least half an hour ago.
That's right. We've been talking in the kitchen.
Jim came home.
We wouldn't leave without his truck.
Wouldn't think so. He must be outside. I'll look. I'll come with you. Jim, did you see anything of the repairman when you came in?
No, his truck's out there. I don't know where he is.
Oh, come on. We'll have a look. Telephone? Phone man? Are you out there? Hello? He would have answered. I just don't know where he went. I'll call him back and tell him.
I thought he might be in the basement, but he isn't.
That's strange. He's not here, but where would he go without his truck? It's been 2 hours, and the truck's still there.
Oh, there's a car pulling in the driveway.
It's a police car. What in the world?
It must have something to do with the repairman.
Jim, the police are here.
Yeah, I see.
There's someone with them.
You better go out, Jim.
They're looking at the truck.
Well, that other man must be from the phone company.
Hello, officer. Mr. Sage? Yes? I'd like to talk with you for a minute. Well, of course. Come on in. This way, officer. This is my wife, Mrs. Sage, and a friend, Miss Kane.
Well, how do you do? I'm Officer Rich.
Is the repairman still missing?
That's right, Mrs. Sage. I'm sorry to have to bother you like this, but I have to ask some questions.
I really don't know what to tell you.
When was the last time you saw Bob Maxwell?
When I showed him into the den. He'd been outside, and he came in to check the phone, and I left him alone. And then Miss Kane and I had our coffee in the kitchen.
That's right.
And you were here, Mr. Sage?
No, I was in town getting a haircut.
Uh-huh. So the last person to see Maxwell was you, Mrs. Sage, hmm?
Yes.
May I see the den, please?
Sure, right this way. It's right off the living room.
Thank you. The operator says Maxwell checked in with her at 9:42. She gave him instructions for his next stop. And that's the last anyone heard from him. Or I take it saw him.
But I left him right here in the...
Wow. That's some wall.
Yeah, a friend of Miss Kane's took that photograph, and we had it specially made to fit the wall.
And neither of you heard or saw Maxwell go out?
No, but we were in the kitchen. I mean, he could have left without us knowing it.
Well, I don't know what else to ask. We don't suspect foul play, obviously, Mr. Sage. But this house,
Well, it has had a reputation.
Oh, we've been here 2 months and haven't had one single strange thing happen.
Until now.
Oh, now, look. Don't tell me you think that anything...
I don't know what to think, Mr. Sage. It wouldn't be the first time someone disappeared from this house without a trace.
Yeah, so they say.
I have to admit superstition has no place in a police investigation, except that this man isn't around, and his truck is.
And my wife was the last to see him.
Exactly.
Well, we're as baffled as you are, officer.
Well, I'll make my report, and we'll see where we go from there. The phone company's taking the truck back. Oh, and Mr. Sage, if anything out of the ordinary should happen, something that would give us any kind of clue, you'll let us know immediately.
Of course.
Put another log on the fire while you're up, Jim, will you?
Right, and I'll freshen the drinks.
Oh, this is so warm and cozy. I wish I didn't have to go back to the city tomorrow.
You're welcome to stay as long as you want. You know that, Georgia.
Oh, I know, and I appreciate it, Marion.
Oh, here you go, Marion. Georgia.
Thank you.
Well, it's been quite a weekend. Between last night's party and today's little episode.
So curious about that man from the phone company. To disappear like that.
Well, he certainly didn't meet with any foul play here.
Marion?
What?
Marion, I've been looking at the mural. It seemed to me the lion had his mouth open, like he was snarling.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, well, look at it now.
The mouth's closed.
And his head is raised as though he were sniffing the air.
I could swear the lion looks different now than he did when the picture went up.
Well, maybe it looks different. We don't remember. But it can't be different.
Listen, when I get back to the city tomorrow, I'll look at Elliot's original slide.
Yeah, that's an idea. Well, that ought to settle it.
It's fascinating the way the firelight makes the foliage seem almost to sway.
Hypnotizing.
Yeah, that's probably why we think we see things that aren't there.
Like the man's face I saw last night. It was gone this morning in the daylight.
Yeah, there's more in that picture than meets the eye. Looks like we'll have no end of fun with it.
I'm back.
George, is train coming on time?
On the nose.
And while I'm making coffee, let's get started on that fourth scene today.
Oh, I was hoping to. I'll be in the den and bring in some donuts. They're in the bread box. What in the world was he doing over there in his bare feet? Oh, well, the place needs a good going over after that party. I'll clean up tomorrow.
Yeah, I was thinking we ought to open scene 4 in the hospital waiting room rather than Millie's apartment.
Jim, you shouldn't walk around these cold floors in your bare feet.
What are you talking about?
Your footprints on the floor over by the wall.
I wasn't in here in bare feet.
Those are wet footprints, aren't they?
Where? I don't see him.
They were right there a second ago. Damp footprints across the rug. A man's bare foot.
Well, it couldn't have been. I haven't been in here at all since you drove Georgia down the station. Much the less in my bare feet.
Well, it wasn't my imagination.
Well, I didn't say it was. But the prints weren't mine. Listen, I think maybe we've let the tales about this house get the best of us. You know, last night I thought I was seeing things with the lion. You thought you saw a man's face, and now you think you saw wet footprints. Now, the lion couldn't change, huh? We're just reading things into it. Come on, let's get to work.
Hello?
Marion, it's Georgia.
Hi, Georgia.
Listen, I've meant to call you for days, but I've been up to my ears in work. I went over to Elliot's and looked at the slide.
Oh, yes, we were wondering about that.
Must have been the firelight. The slide's the same as the wall. The lion has his head in the air, and his mouth is closed.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It hasn't changed. That's funny. We should have thought that it was different.
How are things with the house? Did that telephone man ever turn up?
No, not that we know of. We haven't heard. By the way, Georgia, could you come up this weekend? Jim's going to Philadelphia to doctor a new tryout. I'd love the company.
Sure, I'd love it. I need a break.
Georgia? Hold on a minute, will you?
Sure.
Yes, it is. Georgia,
Yeah, what's up?
the face is back in the mural.
What?
I've been staring at the wall while we've been talking. It's there. The whole outline of a bushy head and face through the ferns, like the one I saw at the party.
Elliot said that was a trick of the lighting.
But remember the day after the party, it was gone.
You didn't see it again, you mean?
Yes, that's what I mean. See you Friday.
I'll be up in the afternoon.
Who's on the phone?
It's Georgia.
I'll call and let you know the train.
Good, I'll meet you.
And Marion, relax.
I will. Bye, Georgia.
Good idea to have her up here for the weekend. I'll be back late Sunday afternoon. I hope.
Georgia says that the lion in the photo slide is the same as the wall. There's no difference.
Well, I was expecting that. Yeah, we're letting our imaginations run away with us.
Leave the dishes, Georgia. Let's have some brandy by the fire.
Oh, you don't have to twist my arm for that.
Probably Jim. He said he'd call when he got to Philadelphia.
Oh, he made good time.
Oh, bring the coffee into the den. The brandy's in the liquor cabinet.
I'll be right in. Say hi to Jim for me.
Hello?
Hi, honey.
I thought it would be you.
How are things with you?
Just finished dinner.
Everything is all right, isn't it?
Of course.
Well, I'm glad George is there. See you Sunday.
We'll be here. Bye, darling.
I put on a fresh pot of coffee. It'll be ready in a while. Now, how about that brandy,
Oh, yes. It's in the lower cabinet and the glasses are there, too.
Oh, well, let me get them. Nothing like a swirl of brandy. Well, now, where in the world did this come from?
What is it?
It's a feather. A blue feather.
I don't have anything with feathers. Where was it?
On the floor. I picked it up right here.
Exactly under that bird in the mural.
What do you mean?
There has never been a feather in this house. I can't stand them.
You think that... Oh, Marianne, it can't be.
Look at the bird. Look. That feather is from that bird in the picture.
Oh, now, Marianne, come on. You've got me doing it. I could swear I saw those ferns move.
Where?
Over there in the right-hand corner. What is happening?
You're crazy. You do. Here, drum.
Yes.
We've got to get out of this house. I don't know what it is, but we've got to get out.
Oh, I knew there was something about that picture. Come on, Georgia. Hurry. Marion, run! It's moving. Some audience is coming into this house. Run, Georgia. Run!
Well, the big cat is out of the bag. Now we know that all those things Marion was seeing, the face of the man, the different face on the lion, and most recently the feather, weren't figments of hers or anyone's imagination. Something strange is happening in this house on Chimney Pot Lane, and I'll join you there shortly. I told you I'd meet you back at the house on Chimney Pot Lane, but I'm afraid that's not where we're going now as we begin Act 3. Did I say a moment ago that something strange was happening in Marion Sage's den? Strange? It's downright terrifying.
Run, Georgia. Run. It's attacking. This way, run. It's going to kill us. What is happening, Marion? What is it? I don't know. We're surrounded by the jungle. Oh, keep going. Oh, dear heaven, what's happening to us? Slippery. Georgia. I tripped on that vine. Let me help you. Oh, it's all right. He's turned back. He's not following us anymore. Where are we? Where's your house?
I know any more than you know, George.
We're in the jungle. But how or why? 1 minute we were looking at the wall, and then here we are. This has got to be some kind of hallucination. This is not happening to us.
Mine you tripped over is real enough.
Your ankle is bleeding. I hadn't even noticed.
Good, you're right about moving.
But it's so dense. Which way do we go? And where?
can't move another step. I'm scared to death. I want to lie down and go to sleep and wake up from this nightmare.
There seems to be a path leading off that way. We have got to keep moving, Marion. Come on.
George, is that snow?
Yes, it is. Up ahead. The path we're on, I never thought about it. Well, this path has to be made by someone or something coming and going.
See what you mean.
Try not to make a sound.
He's coming to the top of the hill.
Stay back up there.
Watch out. Look, down there.
It's a village. We're on the road into town.
Look at those people. Just like the man I saw in the picture.
Look at the top of those poles. Are they? Let's go. Come on, back down the path before they see us.
How far do you think we've come from the village?
I haven't the slightest idea.
It's humid. I can hardly breathe.
We're going to have to find some kind of shelter.
It's starting to get so dark.
And there's no telling what comes out at night in this place.
Georgia? Huh? Listen. Sounds like water.
It is. Up ahead, a waterfall.
Well, they said we could get cold off.
Oh, it should be fresh for drinking. Don't get too close. Those rapids are full of rocks. So cool. Marion? Look over there. On the other side. What do you see? It looks like a cave just under the bank.
Yes, I see it.
It might be a safe place for the night. Here we are, down on the rock.
Yeah, I'm okay.
It seems to be a good-sized opening.
So dark in there. Maybe there's something in there.
Oh, wait, my cigarette lighter in the pocket of my slacks. At least we'll know what we're getting into.
It's not bad at all. It's like a large room.
Someone's had a fire in here, too. We're not the first tenants.
Georgia, there's some kind of animal lying over there in that corner. We better get out of here fast.
It's not moving.
Georgia, don't go any closer. What's the matter with you?
Marion. Look! The telephone repairman.
What? Get back. Get back. I got a stick.
You? Here.
Women. 2 women.
You're the phone man, Mr. Maxwell.
This gets worse all the time. You're the lady with the crazy wall.
Yes, the same thing happened to you.
What happened to me? I was fixing the phone, and all of a sudden a lion leaped out at me, and I've been roaming around in the jungle. I just don't know how many days.
That's what happened to us. You've been here a whole week.
Is that how long? I've been hiding from animals and headhunters and eating berries.
There's no telling how long we'll all be here.
Is there any way back?
We hope so. But we just don't know where to look. Every part of the jungle looks like every other part.
Not so. I've been here longer than you now. There are certain spots that are really different.
In what way?
Well, I've come on places where the foliage looks almost fake. Now, there's one spot where there are more birds. Now, they all seem to gather together. I saw this bird sitting up in a tree, and all of a sudden it flicks its tail, you know, and a big feather flies out, and right before my eyes, it disappeared. It just disappeared into thin air.
The feather. Was it blue?
It could have been, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it was.
And I know where it landed. Can you find this place where the birds gather? That may be our way back.
I think so. It's downstream a ways.
What do you mean, Georgia? The blue feather we found on the floor of the den. It must have come from that bird. We were standing inches away from you, Mr. Maxwell. Neither of us knew it.
I don't know what you're talking about, ma'am.
No, you couldn't. But if we can find those birds, we might be close to getting out of this whatever it is.
Well, it's too dark to try now. But we could in the morning.
We must in the morning. Is it much further to where the birds are?
You see that clump of tall trees in the distance? Well, it was just to the right of them that I saw the birds, and down below was where the ferns and things looked different.
But do we have to go that far? I'm exhausted. What's that large dark area up ahead?
That beats me. Must be a pond or something.
You know, it looks to me as though it's moving. It does, sort of rippling.
It might be quicksand. I don't remember seeing it before.
It must stretch for miles. Can we get across it?
Depends on what it is.
I think it's moving toward us. Look, it's spreading like a big oil slick. It's moving, and it is headed toward us.
Darn if I can tell what it is.
We better turn back.
We're too late.
Oh, good Lord. They're ants. Millions of ants.
Run this way.
They're all around your shakers and their legs. What can we do?
Off and don't do any good.
Get them off.
Get away, you devils.
My hands.
Come on, man. One chance. Get to the river. Run! Hello? Jim? Who's there? Elliot Mann. Oh, hi. Hey, what are you doing outside? I just drove up. Georgia told me she was spending the weekend. I wanted another look at that mural. No one answers. I guess the girls are out. Probably antique hunting. They said they were doing that today. Come on in. Door's open. Not like Marion to leave without locking the front door. Well, I got back a day early. Say, it's strange. All the lights are on. It's only 1 o'clock. Yeah, it looks like they were having a party. Coffee and brandy. Elliot, something's wrong. Marion would never leave the den like this. Hey, that's curious. A blue feather. Where did that come from? It was on the floor here. Marion doesn't have any feathers. This is from a tropical bird. I want to know where Marion and Georgia are. We're almost to the river.
I don't think I can go another step.
Oh, you can.
No.
Come on. We're ahead of the devils. It's just a few more yards. That's it. Into the water. We're safe from them now. It's not far to the other side. So follow me. Here, I'll help you out.
I'm out. Thanks. Oh, any idea where we are?
No, not anymore. I'm going to take a look over the top of the bank.
I'm so tired, George. I think I'm going to die. No, you're not. We're going to get out of this. We don't know where to go. Don't know what to do. Always wandering around and being chased and nothing. Marion! Look. Through the ferns. Is that a man? Crouching? Yes. It's one of the headhunters.
Well, there's nothing familiar on top of...
Look over there. There's a headhunter looking at us through the ferns.
Oh.
What do we do?
Stay still. He's alone.
There he goes. He's running away.
Yes, he's probably gone for help. We better get out of here before they get back.
They know this place better than we do. We'll never escape them.
Look, I don't want to end up on one of those poles.
I wonder if we have any choice.
Elliot, Look there. In the lower left-hand corner of the wall. What? A face. I swear. It's a woman's face. Where? Through the ferns. gone. It was the perfect outline of a woman's face. They're on their way. They'll probably try to circle around us and cut us off.
They'll find us. They'll kill us.
We have got to keep going.
We can't get away from them. We can't.
Up ahead. Look, the birds. That's the spot I told you about.
We might find a way.
No, I spear. I'm hit.
No, help me. He's hurt.
Oh.
Past the tree. There it is. Marion, help me. We've got to help him. The house, the den is right through those trees. Yes, you're right. We found the way. Help me drag Maxwell. Take his arm. Hurry, please. We found it. Lord, help us get there. Please help us. Jim. Yes. Marion. It's coming through. We're here. Oh, help him. It's the phone man.
Spear in his back.
They're after us. The headhunters. Stop them. Do something.
There's one thing that might stop them. My camera's in the car. I'll be right back. They're deathly afraid of this. I captured more than their souls when I took that picture 2 years ago.
Going back. We've seen them.
All right, you devils. I got your souls once before. I'll get them again. They're disappearing.
Look. The whole photo mural just going. It's fading away every time you shoot.
I don't believe my eyes. I don't believe it.
The wall is white. There's not a trace of the mural left.
No one could explain what had happened. Had Elliot captured not only the souls of the natives, but the very soul of the jungle itself? Had the supposed bewitchment of the house brought it to life? Who can say? The mural is gone now, and so are Jim and Marion Sage. They put the house up for sale and bought a townhouse in the city. The last I heard, they still hadn't found a buyer. I happened by the house on Chimney Pot Lane a few weeks ago and peered through the windows. Curious. There was a pantry where I thought Jim and Marion had put in a breakfast nook, and one wall in the kitchen looked burned by a fire long ago. Well, perhaps they'll find a buyer soon. Any takers? Our cast included Marion Seldes, Terry Keane, Earl Hammond, and Sam Gray. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by True Value Hardware Stores and Buick Motor Division. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. My grandmother was a great one for precepts and proverbs. One of many I remember is, "He that doth what he will, doth not what he ought." That was Grandma's warning against willfulness. The amazing lengths to which perversity can lead you is the extraordinary mystery by Mr. A. Conan Doyle. About to begin.
Edwin, you see before you one of the finest young actors in America. Myself. And I'm getting rich.
Oh, really? You've been acting on the stage in New York?
Well, not exactly. You see, Edwin, I'm very good at disguises. So I act our little part. I'm a young Englishman, a college student, what have you. to induce gentlemen of means to play cards with me. Card playing. That's where the money is.
Our mystery drama, The Cabinet of the Unsolved, is adapted from a story by Conan Doyle, especially for the Mystery Theater by G. Frederick Lewis, and stars Robert Dryden. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and True Value Hardware Stores. I'll be back shortly with Act One. Yes, will is the cause of woe. Perversity, pig-headedness, obstinacy, all these principles of evil can lead a young man down a path from which there is no turning or returning. We are all born into this world the same way, but the roads we choose are too often our undoing, to which Inspector John Hilliard of Scotland Yard can well testify.
There is a display cabinet at the yard marked Unsolved. In it are items of clothing, weapons, empty bottles of poison, a parasol, even a pocket Bible. Evidence still insufficient to bring the guilty of various crimes to justice. I had in my hand a letter just received, which at long last might be the key to solving the Manchester Express murder. A case which began in London's Euston Station at 4:30 one blustery March afternoon.
Are you taking the Manchester Express, sir?
Yes, we are. First class coach, please. Are you the train guard?
I am. If you and your lady will follow me, I'll find your compartment.
Oh, one that is empty, if you please. My wife doesn't wish to be disturbed during the journey.
I will if I can. But the 5 o'clock in Manchester is generally crowded. Hey, here we are. Hey, let's try this compartment door, shall we? Oh. I'm sorry, sir. I'm looking for a vacant compartment for this lady and gentleman.
That was a smoking compartment. That man in there was smoking a cigar. The lady cannot abide smoking.
We'll give it another try. If we have to look sharp, the train's about to leave. Oh, this one is vacant, sir. May I hand you up your Gladstone bag?
No, never mind.
Well, in you go, madam. You'll have the entire compartment to yourselves. Now, you, sir. You sure you don't want a hand with that bag?
I said no. Now shut the door.
Mopey! The station is Mopey.
Good evening, Jim. The train's 5 minutes late.
We'll make it up before she pulls into Manchester.
I say there, do you know that one of your compartment doors is open? Right behind you there. One in first class.
Huh? Did someone just get off?
Not at all. This door was open when you rose rolling in. Here, let's have a look, huh?
That's strange. There was a man with a cigar in here, Houston.
Nobody in here now.
A short, red-faced man with a black beard smoking a big cigar. Oh, that's why I put the gentleman and lady in the next compartment.
Oh, let's ask them. Perhaps they know something.
Oh, my Lord. Will you look at this?
Is he dead?
There's a hole where the heart is. A bullet hole, I warn you.
Lying there. Such a young fellow. Did he get on at Euston?
Oh, not to my knowledge. I've never seen this unfortunate young man before. As I say, I know I put a gentleman and a lady in this compartment.
Are you quite sure, Jim? A lady?
Well, look up there over your head. What do you see?
A lady's parasol.
Oh, you're taller than I am. Would you reach it down from the luggage rack? Oh, yes. That's the parasol she was carrying.
Huh. 3 missing persons and a corpse. Oh, I can't let the train go on to Manchester now.
Oh, you're right.
What you going to say, Jim?
Well, not to expect the express to be on time today. And right quick. to get on to Scotland Yard.
That was how I got into the case. 3 hours later, I was in Maltby. I identified myself as from Scotland Yard and found Jim Sloan, the Manchester Express train guard. He took me to the scene of the crime.
Well, there's your body, Inspector, here. Just as the Maltby station master and I found it. We haven't touched the thing.
I'd say the bullet penetrated the heart at close range. Death must have been instantaneous. All right, let's have a go through the man's pockets. Oh, goodness. Look at this, Mr. Sloan. 2 gold watches in his waistcoat. Here's another watch in his ticket pocket.
Is there a ticket, Inspector?
I haven't run across it yet. Another watch in the breast pocket. Oh, that's not all. Look here. This leather strap round his left wrist. There's a watch there also. 6 watches.
Oh, I'd venture to say this man was a pickpocket.
That might explain it. On the other hand, no.
No?
These 2 watches are American make. So is this one. They all are. Rochester Watch Company. Mason Watches, Elmira, New York. Well, now we're finding a few interesting items. A small circular mirror. A silver box with matches. 1 brown leather cigar case. I'd say whatever led to the young gentleman's death, the motive was certainly not robbery.
And no railway ticket?
No ticket. And as far as I can see, back of his shirt, inside his jacket, no marking or labels whatsoever. The 2 you put in here, what luggage did they carry on at Euston Station?
In London? Well, let's see, the gentleman carried a large Gladstone, and he was quite definite about not letting me handle it. And the lady, all she had was that parasol there.
Yes, on the seat. Is that where you found it?
No, I'm sorry, we did move it. The station master took it down from the luggage rack at my request. I'm sorry about that. Will you be needing me any further, Inspector?
Oh, yes. But I'll have the yard notify the Northern Railway people that I want you to remain here in Maltby. There'll be an inquest, and we shall need your evidence.
Is Inspector Elliot here?
Yes, Coroner Willoughby. We're ready to give evidence at this inquest.
Thank you, Inspector. Will you lead off?
We of the yard have concluded that a crime has been committed. Assault and murder. We found no weapon in the compartment.
Yes. That disposes of any suicide theory.
Quite.
Inspector, we have a report here concerning the weapon used. From the bullet obtained in the deceased, it appears to be of small caliber, fired at fairly close range. Do you confirm this?
Absolutely.
Anything to add, Inspector?
At this point, only pure speculation.
Sir?
The question of how or why 3 passengers could leave a moving train, one of them getting on the train during the run between London and Maltby.
I plan to go into that, Inspector. You may step down, sir. Will the train guard, James Sloan, please step forward?
Yes, sir, Mr. Coroner. Present.
Regarding the inspector's speculation, do you have anything to add?
You mean you'd like me to repeat what I told you before the inquest began?
If you would be so kind.
Well, the Manchester Express does make one very brief stop before Maltby.
And where is that?
At Monmouth. To put on some mail.
And, Mr. Sloan, did you see anyone get on or off the train at Monmouth?
I didn't, but I was fairly occupied loading the mail.
Well, the express make no other stops before you reach Maltby?
No, sir. There's one spot where we slow up between Pettisford and Chimney. We're making repairs there on the tracks. At that point, we lower our speed to 8-9 miles an hour.
Well, would you say, Mr. Sloan, that at that place it might be possible for a man or even for a particularly active woman to have left the train without serious injury?
Oh, I would say it was possible, yes, sir, Mr. Coroner. Of course, perhaps not unobserved, sir.
Well, who could have seen them?
Well, Pettisford is an hour out of London. We left Houston at 5. That will make it 6-ish. It's possible the railroad gang of plate layers might still have been working there.
Mr. Corner, may I add something here?
Oh, certainly. You are the station master in Maltby, isn't it so?
Yes, sir. I spoke to the foreman of the railroad gang, but they saw nothing.
Oh, so it's the view of you gentlemen, I take it, that someone might have jumped off the train unseen or jumped on.
Coroner, that is our view as well. At 6 o'clock or so, it is fairly dark this time of year. There's probably an embankment.
Oh, yes, sir. Right along there, sir. A steep embankment.
Which could have served to screen anyone from sight. May I suggest, Coroner, that we recess this hearing until I've had the opportunity to actually walk the distance between... where did you say the two spots were, Sloan?
Pettisford and Chimney.
Oh, yes. It is also quite possible that along that route we may discover the murder weapon. How far have we come, Sloan?
Well, I'd say from down here, Inspector, checking the markers on the tracks up there, we walk a bit over 3 miles. Another mile or so, we'll be at Pettisford.
We've been walking quite the reverse of the direction the express took, right? Going due south.
Oh, yes, Inspector. Where we started walking at Chimney is where the Manchester Express again picks up its normal speed. Now, in about 100 yards or so is where the train slows up for the track gang.
Ah, well, we haven't run across them.
Oh, well, no, it's Sunday, sir. Nobody works on Sunday.
So it is. You keeping your eyes open, Sloan?
Indeed I am, sir. If there's a gun lying somewhere along here, it won't escape me.
Wait a minute. What's this?
Well, it's a pocket Bible, sir.
Well. What's it say inside? Printed by the Bible Society, London. To my beloved Mary on our wedding day. But the date is obscured, smudged. Under that, for Michael from Mary, August 10th, 1865. And then a third inscription, for Edwin from his loving father. No date. All first names. Oh, it's too bad.
Oh, why is that, sir?
This Bible might belong to anybody. No way of identifying to whom it belongs. Oh, well, let's keep on walking.
Well, Inspector, look there. Those marks on that big flat rock.
Sloan, I think you found something.
Is it,
I wouldn't take an oath on it, but those stains are not very old. Someone was badly hurt here. I'd say those marks are blood.
Nothing can be more frustrating to students of sleuthing than mysterious disappearances. Couple that with a corpse that rode a train without a ticket, and you've got reason for a lot of head scratching by Inspector John Hilliard. Does he come up with splinters or solutions? Wait and see when we return with Act 2. Remember the old saying, for want of a nail, the shoe is lost. For want of a shoe, the horse is lost. For want of a horse, the rider is lost. What does that tell us? Don't overlook the tiniest detail. It is that ability to probe and to question that has made Inspector Hilliard his reputation. And sometimes you add up 2 and 2, and 4 is not the answer.
Inspector Hilliard,
Are you prepared for the resumption of our inquest into murder discovered in a first-class compartment of the Manchester Express?
I am and I am not.
Aren't we being a little cryptic, Inspector?
Coroner Willoughby, we found no identification or manufacturer's labels on the garments worn by the deceased. No papers, some money, a strange small circular mirror, and 6 American pocket watches.
Well, have you any theory how the deceased came to be inside the train compartment and yet apparently not visible when the train guard let in the gentleman and the lady?
Yes, I have. He could have been concealed under the seat, which leads me to the second part of the theory. After the train left Euston Station in London, choosing to remain where he was, possibly the deceased overheard some secrets, which were of such a guilty nature that the man and woman dragged the victim from his hiding place and killed him.
You put the death then down to an accident of meeting?
Not the means. That was quite deliberate. But it is hardly likely the 3 could have met in that compartment by design, since Mr. Slow and the train guard was the one who opened the door of the compartment for them. The compartment he had intended them to occupy was taken by a gentleman smoking.
A gentleman who at this point is also missing.
Quite.
Inspector Iliad, I understand you've found a pocket Bible and traces of what may be blood on a stone during your examination of the train embankment.
Yes, we have. But so far as I can see at present, there's no connection with your coroner's inquiry here. The small Bible could have been dropped there by anyone, and even if the stains are identified as human, where would that lead us?
I agree. Insufficient evidence to be meaningful to the purposes of this inquest. Anything else?
I'm afraid not at this time.
In view of that, Inspector, we would have no reason to alter or amend the coroner's verdict of murder by a person or persons unknown.
Which brings us up to date. There, right before me, was the yard display cabinet representing crimes unsolved, filled with what the Maltby coroner had said was insufficient evidence to be meaningful. The parasol, the pocket Bible, the small mirror, the watches, the bullet taken from the deceased, but no gun, no fingerprints, no culprit. In short, no case. That is, until this morning, when I received this letter in my hand. Dear Gentleman of Scotland Yard, the last time I was in London, I was particularly fascinated by your display cabinet in the main hallway marked Cases Unsolved. I would imagine the case of the Manchester Express murder.
And whatever evidence you have collected is now in that cabinet. Perhaps after you've read this letter, you can mark that case solved. My people came from England, immigrating to the States in the 1850s, and settled in the town of Rochester, New York, where my father ran a dry goods store. We were only 2 sons, my younger brother, Timothy, and I. On one unfortunate day, out of the blue, my mother was stricken and died. My father, who loved her very much, went to pieces and suffered a stroke. Good morning, Father. How did you sleep?
What time is it? When yourself overslept in the store.
The doctor said the best thing for you to do is rest and take care of your heart.
My heart. She took it with her when she died. My beloved wife. Edwin, on the window seat is her little testament. The one she used to take to church. Bring it here.
I see it.
I want you to have it, Edwin. Dearest Mary would want you to have it. When we were first married, I gave it to her. Never be without it. Do you promise?
I promise.
Not that You need prayers as much as your brother. Timothy, that boy. You think you can take care of him?
Of course I can, Father. Now, don't you worry about Timothy. Now, you remember he's 10 years younger than I am. And even though he's a senior in high school, I can still take him across my knee if he gets out of line.
That's good. He's a wild boy.
It's really about my younger brother, Timothy, that I'm writing you, gentlemen of Scotland Yard. He barely got through high school by the skin of his teeth. And then suddenly, he left home and went to New York City. My father was never again able to get out of bed. He'd ask about Timothy, and I'd make up stories about what a good job he had in the big city and so on. And then, one night... Timothy! Oh, come on in.
Well, hello, Brother Edwin. I want you to meet my friend, Mac McGuire.
Well, come in, both of you.
Well, thank you. You see, Mac? I told you we'd be welcome. Well, how have you been, Edwin?
Aren't you going to ask after Father?
Of course I will. How is he, by the way?
Well, he's had 2 more heart shocks. I keep him in bed.
Oh, I know how it is. My father had a coronary and passed on when I was quite young.
Ours is still alive, but barely. No, he asks after you every day, Timothy. Of course, he has no idea what you're up to in New York City.
And do you?
Well, I have a pretty good idea.
You sound like I was doing something criminal. Mac and I play cards. That's all we do. We give card-playing lessons. You'd be surprised how much people will pay to learn that they have a lot to learn.
Oh, Timothy.
I want you to know, Edwin. May I call you Edwin?
By all means.
I try to take good care of Timothy here. Believe me, he's almost like a brother to me.
Tell Edwin some of my accomplishments, Mac. Brother Edwin, you see before you one of the finest young actors in America. Myself.
Really? Well, you've been acting on the stage in New York?
Not exactly.
Oh, he is very good at disguises, your brother is. He acts out little parts, pretends to be different people in order to induce gentlemen of means to join in a game of cards.
It's a lot more fun than being a storekeeper, Edwin.
Why did you come back to Rochester?
Oh, just to have a place to rest our weary bones until the heat's off.
Well, some of your card-playing clientele didn't feel they got their money's worth, huh?
Look, Brother Edwin, we didn't come here to be criticized. I don't like the tone of your voice.
Well, let me remind you, Brother Timothy. I'm still 10 years older than you are and a lot heavier. I can still give you one good thrashing. Now, you and Mr. McGuire are welcome to stay here for a time, but I warn you. Try any of your card sharping tricks in this town, and I'll hand you over to the police so fast it'll make your head swim. Brother or no brother? Father wanted to see Timothy, so we went up to his bedroom. I'll say this. It did a lot for him. Timothy was always the favorite. But he and Mac McGuire hadn't been in town a week when I got a call from the police. Timothy had been arrested for passing a forged check.
I said I was sorry, didn't I?
Being sorry isn't good enough, Timothy.
I needed the money. Mac and I had this pigeon all staked out. He was aching for a game, just begging to have his feathers plucked.
You needed a bankroll to cheat someone, and you didn't care how you got it. That's irresponsible, Timothy.
I know I'm unreliable and crazy.
And downright crooked. Now, I've squared it away with the police. The money's being returned. And you're leaving here first thing in the morning.
Where's Mac?
Your good friend? Oh, I saw him at the railroad station with his bag. He's smarter than you, Timothy. He's gone.
I promise. I won't do anything like this again.
Well, I hope so. But ever since we were kids together, you've left a trail of broken promises 10 miles long. Now, brother, you are going to do it my way.
What way is that?
I'm afraid just taking you as far as New York isn't far enough. I mean, have you any idea what this would do to Father if he ever found out that his son was almost jailed for passing a bum check?
And I wouldn't like him to find that out.
Well, I guarantee you he's not going to.
I'll straighten out, I promise.
Well, I'm not waiting for that. You're going to do as I say, or I'll take you down to headquarters right now, tell them I've changed my mind, and let them throw the book at you. The next morning, I got a nurse from the hospital to come in and take care of Father. Told my assistant I'd be gone for a few days and to keep the store running, and I brought Timothy down to New York. I had a friend there, an exporter of American watches who needed a representative in England. Now, the idea of going to London appealed to Timothy. He had no trouble in talking himself into the job and agreed to go to London with a full case of samples at 15% commission on all sales. I remained with Timothy in New York until the boat sailed.
Well, there goes the all ashore signal. Edwin, thanks a lot for everything. I promise you I'm turning over a brand new leaf and become an honest man.
Well, I hope so. And I know Father will be pleased as anything when I tell him you've got yourself a good job.
Now, you take good care of him, will you, Edwin? And I'll do my part. I promise you I'll never again hold a deck of cards in my hand.
Now, don't make any promises you can't keep.
I can.
Wait, over there, by the lifeboats, isn't that... It's McGuire.
Who?
Mr. McGuire. Mr. McGuire, will you come over here?
Why, of all people, Timothy, what are you doing on this ship?
Well, I'm going to London.
Now, isn't that a coincidence? So am I.
Timothy, you lied. You had no intention of going straight, did you?
Are you going to London also, Edwin?
Now that you mention it, Mr. McGuire, that may not be such a bad idea. Yes, I'll go and find the purser to see if I can share a cabin with my dear brother.
Edwin, are you going to nursemaid me across the Atlantic all the way to London?
It's a toss-up between that, Timothy, or my informing the police that you're on board.
It takes a bit of doing to expose one's brother in the hope you can cure him, save him from himself. A brother is a friend given by nature, to quote the old saying. Let us hope Timothy will believe Edwin is his friend. Or is Timothy's willfulness and crooked bent uncurable? I dread to find out, but find out we shall when I return with Act 3. Oh, where are we? Oh, yes. Standing beside Inspector John Hilliard in front of a display in Scotland Yard of evidence relating to crimes unsolved. In his hand is a letter, perhaps the key to a mystery that has plagued the yard for years. 3 passengers disappeared from the Manchester Express one day, leaving only a corpse behind them and not enough clues for a solution. The word evidence derives from the Latin meaning to see more. Perhaps this letter the inspector is reading will enable him to see more.
Gentlemen of Scotland Yard, if I've gone into some detail, it is because I want you to understand the predicament I was in. The ship sailed, and I shared the cabin with my brother.
But as the days went on, I realized my hands were tied. Timothy had decided on the easy way. The wrong way to riches, and, well, he thought me a sanctimonious fool.
Are you going to follow me all over the world, St. Edwin? Watch over me as if I were a child? Oh, surely you must feel just a little bit idiotic.
I'll tell you what I feel. I feel ashamed. I thank the Lord Mother's not with us any longer, and that Father need never know what his favorite son turned out to be.
Now, if your lecture is over, I'd like to join some friends in the salon.
Oh, Timothy, listen, please. Look, here's Mother's little Bible, remember? The one she used to take to church.
Yes, I remember.
Oh, for her sake, give it up, this life of yours. You still can. Put your hand on Mother's Bible and this time promise.
Mac is waiting for me. I'd like to go now.
You have a good job in London. You're a good salesman.
I'm not cut out to be a salesman. Father was, you are, but not me.
Then why did you take this job?
Why not? The old fool paid my passage. I always wanted to travel the Atlantic on a steamship. Mac said we could clean up from Block Island to Southampton.
I couldn't give up. Somehow, I had to make Timothy see the error of his ways. In the ship's salon, I found him and that McGuire playing poker with two passengers. Two lambs about to be fleeced.
I knew that if I didn't warn them, I was no better than an accomplice. Gentlemen of Scotland Yard, as I walked over to the table, I kept saying to myself, this is the right thing to do. I'm not being a Judas betraying my brother. I'm saving him while there is still time.
Hello, Edwin.
Gentlemen, may I interrupt this game for a moment?
No, you may not. Go away. We're playing and we do not wish to be disturbed. Your dear Timothy.
Please, Edwin, will you go away? Now, don't make a nuisance of yourself.
Timothy, will you get your brother out of here?
This gentleman is Mac McGuire. Have you been introduced? You see, Mr. McGuire is one of the most notorious card sharpers in the United States.
Prove it, you meddlesome idiot.
Oh, I'd be glad to.
I'll sue you for slander. Will somebody fetch a captain?
Mr. McGuire, if you will turn up your right sleeve to the shoulder, well, go on. Don't you wish to sue me for slander? Well, go on, Timothy. Don't stop dealing the cards on my account. Why, gentlemen, look what we have here. Indeed, what have I picked up from my brother's lap? Well, do you know what this round little mirror is, gentlemen?
Give that back to me.
Oh, certainly, Timothy, take it. Well, gentlemen, let me tell you how it works. One sits back a bit from the table, lays the mirror face up on the lap, and as you deal... why, you can see the face of every card you give your adversary. You see, one can learn a great deal about card sharping if one's brother is in the business.
I'm getting out of here. The game's over, gentlemen.
As I write this letter so many years later, I recall that Timothy was very quiet and reserved as we arrived in London. I installed him in a flat, and he seemed quite shaken by the scandal aboard ship. Or so I thought. He started the rounds of selling his American watches, and I was delighted he appeared to enjoy his work. It seemed to me he'd turned the corner, and I decided I could safely return to Rochester. I went along to the steamship line, purchased my ticket, and returned to the flat.
Well, who just walked in the door if it isn't Brother Edwin?
McGuire, what are you doing here?
He's helping me pack, can't you see?
Where are you going, Timothy, and why?
Well, it's rather a long story, dear brother, and we don't have the time to tell it.
A little problem has presented itself, so we thought this might be a good time to go up north and enjoy the country air.
Have you been up to your old tricks with McGuire again? I thought you promised me that you would...
We met purely by accident and just happened to get into a little game at the Railroad Hotel.
Stupid loudmouth, all that shouting just because one of them bent down to tie his shoelace and found an extra ace on the floor. Hurry up, Timothy. Trains wait for no man.
Tim's not leaving here. If he's broken the law, it's about time he paid for it. I'm locking this door.
Give me that key, Brother Edwin. Now, don't be silly.
Take your hands off me.
Give me that key.
When I came to, McGuire and Timothy were gone. I thought I'd heard Timothy say something about the Manchester Express. I pulled myself together and hailed a cab to Euston Station. The express had not yet left. I promised myself I'd go all the way to Manchester, find my brother, and do everything in my power to get him back on the straight and narrow. I found a compartment at the smoking inn, got inside, lit up a cigar, and waited for the train to leave.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I was looking for an unoccupied compartment for this gentleman and lady.
There's a man smoking in there. No, that won't do. The lady cannot abide smoking. Find us another one.
It was McGuire, disguised. And standing behind him in a long cape was Timothy, made up to look like a woman. A wig and a black veil down his face. His disguise, complete with lady's parasol, didn't fool me for a moment. When we stopped at Monmouth to take on mail, I quickly changed compartments. There were no corridors between compartments like on American trains. The doors opened only to the platform. But nobody saw me.
I should have locked our compartment door. Didn't I tell you, Timothy? Brother Edwin would find his way in here. Well, how's your jaw?
Timothy, for heaven's sake, listen to me.
I've been listening to you all my life. Preach, preach, preach. That's all I've ever heard.
Oh, look at you. Wearing those ridiculous curls, a veil, pretending to be a woman.
I had to wear all this. How do you think I could get by the cops? It's good, isn't it?
Oh, Timothy, please come to your senses. Are you going to spend all your life cheating and running? Haven't you got more pride? What's happened to you?
Oh, do I have to sit here the whole way to Manchester listening to this Boy Scout brother of yours?
I'm not talking to you, McGuire.
Well, that suits me fine. Just don't cross me.
Oh, come on, Mac. You don't have to threaten anybody. He means well. It's just the way he is.
You don't see yourself at all, do you, Timothy?
The conductor's been around to punch tickets, so I'm taking this stuff off. I'll shove the wig and the veil and the cape into the Gladstone. Where'll I put the parasol?
Timothy, you can't go on like this for the rest of your life, stealing people's money and having to skip town.
I like this kind of life. There's excitement to it.
Oh, you're so stupid you don't even see that you're being used.
Why don't you go run a Sunday school, Brother Edwin? Don't listen to him, Timothy.
I'm not.
I can't breathe this stuff here with you two.
What are you doing?
Opening this window. Getting some fresh air. Give me that bag.
What are you doing?
There it goes. Out the window.
What did you throw the bag out for? It's got all my costumes in it, everything.
If nothing but disguises stands between you and jail, when we get to Manchester, to jail you'll go.
Listen, you, he's my partner. You're not going to bully him.
If prison's the only way to keep you out of Timothy's life, I'll make sure he gets there.
You see this, Brother Edwin?
Mac, don't do that. Put that gun away.
I'd like you to leave this compartment right now.
He can't get out now. The train's moving too fast.
Just jump out the window after the bag.
You know something, McGuire? You're crazy. I made a jump for McGuire's gun, and it went off, hitting Timothy right in the heart. He fell to the floor. We stood there, horrified. I knelt down and listened. He was dead. At that moment, the train started to slow down. Why? I don't know. McGuire saw his chance to escape, opened the compartment door and jumped. I jumped right after him. He wasn't going to get away from me. The two of us rolled down the embankment, and then I blacked out. When I came to, McGuire was mopping my head where it was cut with a handkerchief.
I couldn't leave you out here alone, Brother Edwin.
Oh, my head.
Just stop bleeding now.
Oh, I don't understand you. Why aren't you a dozen miles away?
Well, now, I couldn't run off with you lying here at the bottom of this embankment.
You shot Timothy.
You had a hand in it. The gun wouldn't have gone off if you hadn't jumped me.
Oh, good Lord, forgive me, so I did. My head's clearing now.
Well, you crashed right into that rock.
Oh, why are you still here, McGuire? You should have run away while I was unconscious.
Oh, I couldn't do that. I'm a gambler, not a murderer. You could have bled to death.
Oh, that would have made everything so simple for you.
You don't know me at all. The blood of the both of you on my hands in one day. I know you cared for Timothy, but so did I. Maybe by your standards, it was a funny way of showing it. But we didn't mean any harm. We only played men who had money to throw away.
I think of Timothy right now. Lying there in that compartment on that train. Alone. Dead, and that I should have... that I should be the cause of it.
It was my gun. We were both the cause of it.
I ask myself, shall I give myself up?
I'm ready to. This way, I don't think I'll ever get over his death. How else could I pay for it?
But if we do, everyone will know. It'll all come out about him. The news will certainly get back to America. Father will hear of it. It could finish him.
And if we each go our own way and not ever tell anyone, we'll be punished every day we see the sunshine.
Yes, and that may be the greater punishment. There you have it, gentlemen of Scotland Yard. I've come to the end of this letter. From being an avenger of crime, I had become a conspirator against justice. McGuire got out of the country. Went to Cairo, I think. And I returned to Rochester. And unless your methods have changed in the past 5 years, inspectors, whatever you found on my brother's body, maybe even the Gladstone bag of clothes if some tramp didn't make off with it, everything you found
is probably at this very moment in your display cabinet of crimes unsolved. My father passed away 6 months ago in peace, never knowing what both his sons had done. I have one favor to ask of you. If you have in your possession a pocket Bible, it was my mother's. May I have it back? It's of no use for evidence to anyone but me. Here is my address.
Inspector John Hilliard unlocked Scotland Yard's cabinet of the unsolved and withdrew a small pocket Bible. In its place, he pinned a letter he had been reading. Though the case of the Manchester Express murder was technically solved, it could never be called closed. I shall return shortly. And Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is your brother?" And he answered, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" That is a question for all of us to answer in many ways. Are we our brother's keeper? I think we all are. Our cast included Robert Dryden, Bob Caliban, Lloyd Batista, and Ray Owens. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
And now, a preview of our next tale.
The man in that picture, he's your husband? Yes. Well, perhaps you'd be interested to see a picture of my husband, Mrs. Reynolds. I believe I have one here in my purse. Well, yes, here. Jack. Your husband? It's not possible. I think I will take that drink after all. This isn't possible. It's a very interesting turn, isn't it? As one of the characters in our novels might say. I came here expecting to find a plagiarist, and instead, we've uncovered a bigamist. I can't believe it. It must be a question of mistaken identities. I think that the only question, Mrs. Reynolds, is, now that we know the truth, what are we going to do about it?
Mrs. E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
It has been said, and wisely, that there are two things to aim at in life. The first is to be bold enough to get what you want. The second is to be smart enough to know how to enjoy it. Of course, most of us have this basic problem. Do we really know what we want? Or do we only think we do?
Are you going to stay here?
Will they let me?
They?
The ones who run this place.
No one runs this place.
Well, who does the work?
The people.
All right, but who tells the people what to do?
No one.
Then why do they do it?
Because it's the right thing to do.
But what do you do if things get out of hand?
I don't understand that question.
Our mystery drama, Our Own Jailer, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dan and stars John Beale. I'll do that shortly with Act One. A word of wisdom today from Mr. Rudyard Kipling. When your demon is in charge, do not try to think consciously. Drift, wait, and obey. When the demon is in charge, that demon which resides deep within each of us, that hidden, mysterious, unknowable spirit that constantly spurs, excites, and provokes us to do we know not what, to go we know not where, to find we know not whom. How do we satisfy that demon so that he may grant us peace? Or can it be done? Well, the young lawyer is somewhat upset. It's his first murder case, indeed his first case of any consequence, and he isn't getting very much help from his client.
Why did you kill him? Kill who?
Mr. Gordon.
I keep telling you why.
No, you don't. You don't tell me anything.
He wouldn't let me go back to Marla.
Who's Marla?
You wouldn't understand.
You could explain it.
You wouldn't believe it.
Look, your name is Howard Spurlow.
I know my name.
You are about to be tried for murder.
I know that, too.
I'm the attorney appointed to defend you.
We've been through all this. Why don't you let me alone?
You have to have a defense.
Why?
Why did you kill him?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter. Premeditated murder, first degree, puts you in jail for life.
I don't care.
You don't care now. Wait. This state of shock you're in will wear off. You'll care.
I wish you'd let me alone.
On the other hand, second degree or manslaughter or lesser charges, you could get a maximum of 10 years. Maybe as low as 3 or 4. Tell me, why did you kill him?
Why don't you let me alone?
He keeps saying Mr. Gordon wouldn't let him go back to Marla. Did you know her, Mrs. Spurlow?
Did I know any of them? Did I know any of the tramps he ran around with?
Obviously, Marla must have been important to him.
She certainly was. More important than his wife.
Mrs. Spurlow, you are his wife. And what I'm trying to find out is...
What was I? Just somebody to clean the house, raise the kids, cook. I was the one who had to handle the money.
Please, Mrs. Spurlow...
Not that he ever brought home any real money.
Mrs. Spurlow, are you sure there were other women?
How could there not be other women?
Well, that doesn't quite answer the question.
There must have been other women.
I'm only asking. How do you know?
No, a woman knows.
But you've never seen him with another woman.
I didn't have to.
But you have no evidence of another woman?
What evidence do I need? A man leaves the house after supper every night. Where are you going, I ask. Out, he answers. He comes home after midnight. And you're trying to tell me it isn't other women.
Mr. Arthur Davis, attorney at law, it reads on the card. Hey, what can I do for you, Mr. Davis?
I represent Howard Spurlow.
Poor Howard.
Did he spend much of his time here in your bar, Mr. Downey?
I would say he spent all of his time here. That is the time he can spare from his work and his sleep.
What kind of a man would you say Howard Spurlow is?
I tell you this in strictest confidence, Mr. Davis, and you must keep my secret. I don't know what kind of man he is.
Well, how's that possible? He spent so much of his time here.
Bartenders are supposed to be keen students of character, Mr. Davis, but that isn't true. We never see the real character.
People who spend their time in saloons are seeking a new identity. Do you follow this? I'm not sure. Sheep come in here and pretend to be wolves. But you know they're only sheep. Yes, but I don't know what kind of sheep. Oh, your glass is empty here. Oh, thank you. Now, the murder, it took place in here. Yes, it did. Well, how did it happen? They were down at the far end of the bar, you see. They were talking as usual. Well, what do you mean by as usual? Well, you see, for months, each of them would come in here. Howard Spurlow and this, Mr. Gordon. Yes, that's right. Well, what did you know about Mr. Gordon? Oh, he was a quiet gentleman, about 60 maybe. He would come in at about 9 of an evening, drink and chat amiably with Howard Spurlow until about midnight, and then each would go his separate way. What would they talk about? Art. Howard Spurlow is an artist, you know. Oh, yes. What is called a commercial artist. He draws labels for tomato cans and the like. Well, they appeared to be very friendly? Oh, yes. Did they have an argument that night? They would have an argument every night. Everybody argues in this place. That's what it's for. What did Spurlow and Mr. Gordon argue about on this particular night? Oh, I don't know, Mr. Davis. I suppose art as usual. Yeah. And then, all of a sudden, there was a pistol in Spurlow's hand. And before anyone could realize it, he had fired at Mr. Gordon, and Mr. Gordon fell dead to the floor. Just like that. And Howard wouldn't say why he killed him? No, he wouldn't say why he killed him. I asked. I said, Howard, my boy, what have you done this deed for? And he just placed the pistol down in the bar and said, you'd better call the police. Mr. Donald, would you know who Marla is? Marla? Yeah, have you ever heard that name? Marla, no. Did he ever talk about other women? Oh, he wasn't that kind. How can you say that? Mr. Davis, if he was of the type that pursued women other than his wife, why would he spend all his time in a saloon? The glass is empty. Your trial begins tomorrow, Mr. Spurlow. Now, please, listen to what I'm saying. I'm listening. Tomorrow, we go into the courtroom. I have no defense. Neither have I. If only you would tell me why you killed him, I would have a motive. If only you would tell me who Marla is, I would have an insight. If only... Oh, you're 1,000 miles away again. If only I could get you to realize... If only. What does he want? What do they all want? I killed Jeremy Gordon in front of 16 witnesses. The thing is beyond dispute. Punish me, execute me, incarcerate me. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters anymore. Tell me why you killed him. Tell me who Marla is. And if I told you, would you believe me? Would you understand? Nobody could hope to understand what happened the night I met Jeremy Gordon for the first time. Is this place taken? Oh, I don't think so. Well, what'll it be tonight, Mr. Gordon? Do you have Bach? One Bach coming up. You okay, Howard? Yeah, I'm fine. Maybe you two gentlemen ought to know one another. Mr. Gordon, this is Mr. Spurlow. He's an artist. Mr. Spurlow, this is Mr. Gordon. He's a poet. Well, I'm not really an artist. You were saying, Mr. Spurlow? Well, I'm not really an artist. Just, a commercial artist. I do lettering, layout, that kind of thing. Well, I'm not a poet either. I teach at community college. I have classes in poetry. Do you write any? No. Why not? All the time for that is gone. The time? Can't you write poetry at any time? No. Only when the blood is racing. Oh. Well, it's been nice talking to you. You didn't care for that remark. Why? I didn't say I did. Poetry is not for the old. Well, many poets wrote when they were old. But they didn't write the way they did when they were young. Well, perhaps not. But they still wrote beautifully. But they wrote a different kind of poetry. It belongs to the mind, not the heart. Only the young can write with passion and fire. I'm not sure I would agree. It's a physiological thing. But I said it has to do with how the blood races when you're young. That's when I should have written. When I was young.
Why didn't you?
I didn't listen to the muses.
The muses?
Those mythical goddesses of creativity who inspire us.
Assuming they exist. So why didn't you listen to them?
Because I was too busy listening to other voices. Whose? Oh, probably the same ones you're listening to. A wife, a landlord, an orthodontist, a butcher, a grocer. They speak very loudly, don't they?
Yes, they do.
And meanwhile, instead of writing poetry, we teach it. And instead of painting pictures, we make circles and letters.
Yes.
And we always say, one day.
One day.
One day we shall escape from the trap, break out of the cage. And when that day comes, do you know what we find out?
What?
That the trap had never been sprung. The cage had never even been locked. We've been free to leave at any time.
Well, that isn't true.
We ourselves have been our own jailers. We've been free to leave whenever we wanted.
I don't agree with that.
You know why we didn't? We were afraid to be free. We were comfortable in our captivity. Well, now, how did we get off on this moody subject? Please, let me buy you a drink, will you, Mr. Downey? Two over here.
There's a lot to what you say.
How old are you?
40.
Oh, that's not old.
Oh, it feels old.
That's how old Gauguin was.
Yeah, Gauguin.
Imagine, there he was, cashier in a Paris bank, a Sunday painter, a very middle-class bourgeois gentleman. And suddenly, he walked away from it all and went to the South Seas and spent the rest of his life as an artist.
I know that.
You could do the same thing.
A man has responsibilities.
To whom? To what?
His wife. His children.
Ah, yes, and then one day his life is over, and what of his responsibility to himself, to his art?
Well, not all painters make a living. Some of them starve.
But they paint, which is all they were ever meant to do.
Well, you've already said it. You find yourself in a cage.
But it isn't locked.
Even so, how do you get out?
You know.
I don't know.
Oh, you know very well. You know what to say. And you know to whom to say it.
How did he know? It was true. I knew what I wanted to say. I'd wanted to say it for 15 years, but I didn't. I couldn't. Well, I would. I would say it before it became too late. I would say it to her the very next morning. All my life, I wanted to paint.
Now, who stopped you?
Who stopped me?
Who stops you from painting pictures when you get home at night? Who stops you from painting pictures on a Saturday or Sunday?
Oh, that's not painting.
No.
Painting is something you have to do all the time. I just want to paint.
Paint what?
I want to set up an easel right now, a canvas right now, and I want to paint right now.
Oh. Well, right now, I don't see how you can swing it. You have to go to work.
I don't want to go to work.
What?
I don't want to go to what you call work. I want to go to what I call work, which is right here at my easel.
Oh. Well, might I ask, who's going to pay you for it?
I don't know.
Where's the rent money, not to mention all the other money, going to come from?
I don't know. For 15 years, I've worked to support this family. Now you can get a job and do it.
Well, here you are, having a quiet, peaceful breakfast with your husband of 15 years, who has been a quiet and peaceful person. And without warning, out of nowhere, he makes an announcement that will change your life. I'm not so sure we'll have a quiet and peaceful second act. We go through life, and we set a pattern. If nature abhors a vacuum, then human nature avoids a novelty. Despite what we say, we don't really want anything new. We really prefer the tried and the true. We like life situations that don't surprise, and we'd rather have friends who don't shock us. So when somebody breaks the pattern of a lifetime, he shouldn't expect people to be happy about it.
What did you say?
You heard what I said. For 15 years, I've worked to support this family. Now you can go out and do it.
Oh, that's what I thought you said.
I'm glad you understand it.
But what I understand is that you're either serious or you're sick. If you're serious, I'm going to see a lawyer. If you're sick, I'll call a doctor.
I should have known I couldn't talk to her. I haven't been able to talk to her in years. I looked at her face, I listened to her voice, and both were filled with righteous indignation. Righteous. Her righteousness was a trap, a cage, and I was imprisoned inside.
Imprisoned?
That's the only word. And it's true.
Well, of course it's true. Each of us is his own jail.
And that's the worst kind there is.
Yes, Howard, and it'll soon be too late for you.
Maybe.
You have to do something now.
Well, you seem more concerned about it than I am.
Why? Oh, because it's too late for me. For many years I was able to do just what you're doing now, promise myself that one day I would make the break, change my life. And then one day came, but it wasn't the day I expected. It's the day I realized I could never do it. And that's the day you admit your life is over.
Are you telling me your life is over?
The life that would have meaning will never be lived.
Well, things can't always work out.
Things never work out. They have to be worked out. By us. By ourselves.
So what can you do if you just took a wrong turn somewhere?
I think I would have been reconciled to it. Failure. But I caught a glimpse of Xanadu.
Xanadu?
You never read Coleridge's poem?
Oh.
They say he saw it in a dream. He wrote the poem in a dream. It was all a vision. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure-dome decree where
out the sacred river ran through caverns measureless to man, down to a sunless sea. I remember.
Xanadu. It's where we are when we're filled, bursting, exploding with a spirit of creativity. Oh, I saw Xanadu.
Sure.
You remember the last lines? Beware, beware his flashing eyes, his flaming hair. Weave a circle round him thrice, and close your eyes with holy dread, for he on honeydew hath fed and drunk the milk of paradise.
Yes. Yes, I remember.
And do you know who he is, the one the poet calls he?
No.
An artist, Howard. Any artist who has suddenly been embraced by the muses. Have you ever known that feeling?
You said you saw Xanadu. What is it? Where is it?
Oh, I don't know what it is exactly. But I know where it is. Or I know where you can see it.
Show me. Neither of us said another word. We walked out of the saloon. We got into his car, and he started to drive. We headed north, out of the city into the foothills, and finally into the mountains. I don't know where we went, but we kept climbing. Then, finally, we came to a place where there was no more road. We left the car, and we walked to the very top of the mountain. You can see the whole city from here.
Yes, but what city is it?
What city? It's not...
It's not the city we know, is it?
It's daylight. It's daylight in that city.
It's always daylight there.
But this is nighttime.
It's always nighttime here.
It's Xanadu. Mr. Gordon, it's Xanadu.
Yes?
I'm going down there.
No, wait.
For what?
No, consider it.
Aren't you the one who keeps telling me to do it?
Yes, but...
What about what?
Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps you don't have the courage. No, it's more than courage. It's
what?
I don't know. Maybe it's what you have to have. What you have to be.
A damsel with a dulcimer in a vision once I saw. Listen. There she is. I see her.
Now, wait.
Isn't that what I've been doing all my life, waiting? Before you go, be sure. Be sure of what? Now, don't try to stop me. You're jealous because it's too late for you, but it's not too late for me. I could only hear the music. I could only see the girl who was playing it. She had long black hair and flashing black eyes. She wore a long, pretty white dress, and she was sitting on a marble bench in a beautiful garden.
Hello?
Oh, please don't stop playing.
But I've come to the end of the song.
Well, then begin another one.
My name is Marla.
Marla, well, that's very pretty. And so are you.
What's your name?
Howard. Howard Spurlow.
Oh, welcome to Xanadu.
Xanadu. And to think it's just down from the mountain.
What mountain?
There. Well, there was a mountain over there, just before.
Are you going to stay here?
Will they let me?
They?
I mean, the people who run this place.
Oh, no one runs this place.
Well, then how do things get done?
Oh, what things are you talking about?
Well, things, you know. This beautiful garden. Who tends this beautiful garden? And food. Who grows the food? And the dress you're wearing, who made it? Who sells it?
Oh, so many questions.
Are there answers?
Of course. People.
Well, that's just my point. Who tells these people what to do?
Well, nobody tells anybody what to do.
And why do they do it?
Because it's right.
The man who cultivates this garden, for instance.
Yes.
Well, why does he do it?
Because he's better at it than anyone else.
Well, suppose he says one day, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to paint pictures.
But he can't paint pictures.
Who told him?
Well, no one had to tell him. He knows it himself.
What do you do?
I make music.
Oh, do you make a living at it?
What's that?
Do they pay you?
Oh, why should anyone pay me?
Don't they pay the fellow who cultivates the garden? The one who made your dress?
Well, why should they be paid?
Well, because... Do you mean people around here work for nothing?
Oh, no. Everyone works to fulfill himself, to satisfy his need for creativity.
Well, who decides who gets what?
I don't understand.
How did you get this dress, for instance?
Oh, I asked someone to make it for me.
And that's all?
Sometimes, perhaps, he may wish to hear some music for an hour or so, and then I shall play for him. What do you do?
I paint.
An artist? I always wanted an artist.
What do you mean you always wanted an artist?
Especially one that was young.
I'm not exactly that young.
Are you living with anyone?
Well,
would you like to live with me?
She took my hand, and we started to walk. We came to a street, a shining street. It was filled with people, everyone dressed in white robes, everyone except me. Still, no one took any notice of what was surely my strange clothes. Then we came to a place that looked like a large store. There were all kinds of things inside. She introduced me to a very tall man with very white hair.
Older, this is Howard.
I'm happy to know you, Howard.
Howard is an artist.
Then he will want an easel, canvas, paints, brushes.
Yes, everything, but I can't pay for anything just yet.
Pay?
I tried to explain. No one pays.
Actually, everyone does pay. You will bring me a painting.
I think I understand. I loaded myself with supplies, and Marla picked out all sorts of delicious fruits and wonderful-looking things to eat. And we went home. Home was a lovely little house, surrounded by those spots of greenery that I'd read about in the poem. It was so peaceful. It was so beautiful. The next morning, I set up my easel. I couldn't wait to get started.
You begin early.
Yes.
What shall you paint?
Oh, the trees, the river.
Oh, I like that. And I like you.
Do you? Really?
Yes. The moment I saw you, I knew I would like you. Do you like me?
Yes, very much. Tell me, Marla, is this a dream?
Is what a dream?
There's all of this. This place here.
Well, how can it be a dream?
Where do you come from?
Where?
Were you born here?
Oh, no. No one is born here. Everyone must come from someplace. I came here because the only thing I ever wanted to do was make music. It was the only time I was ever happy.
Then where do you come from? You must come from somewhere.
Yes.
Well, where?
I don't know.
How can you not know?
I don't remember.
How is that possible?
You can only be here because you were very unhappy somewhere else. Unhappy and unfulfilled. Shall I play for you?
Yes, I'd like that. Marla?
Yes?
The two of us. Are you saying that we can spend the rest of our lives painting pictures, playing music, and making love?
Yes.
Are you sure there isn't a catch to it somewhere?
Is there? I know the cynical among you are always looking for the angle, the provisions that are buried deep in the small print. But isn't it possible that something's on the level just once? I most devoutly hope so. But the answer will be revealed in the place that is specifically constructed for answers. Our third act. Let's look at it this way. According to the Bible, mankind began in the Garden of Eden, or paradise, or utopia. It amounts to the same thing. And the simple fact is that man and woman just couldn't appreciate a good thing. So they simply threw it away. Ever since, we've been trying to get back in. We've been trying to build toward another paradise or utopia. Assuming we can establish one, who is to say we simply won't throw it away this time, too?
Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful.
I never knew I could paint like this. That is, I hoped I could, but this is the first time I...
Oh, everyone will love it.
Are you sure?
Darling, obviously it's a masterpiece.
What's going to happen to it?
You owe it to Older for the supplies.
Then what will he do with it?
I don't know. He'll trade it to someone for something.
And yet it's a masterpiece.
Oh, of course.
Now, the canvas, say $4. The easel, $25. The paints, the brushes, everything doesn't come to more than $50. All right, say 60.
Darling, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about a masterpiece. And all I'll be getting for it is $60. Not even in cash.
But
A masterpiece. And Alder could give it away for 2 pounds of pork chops.
Why should that matter?
You don't understand.
Well, what matters is that everyone who sees the painting will want to have it. It will go from hand to hand, making so many people happy.
Well, it's a masterpiece. You said so yourself.
Of course.
$60 for a masterpiece.
Oh, what are $60?
Oh, skip it.
I don't know what that means either. But I do know you're unhappy.
Let's just forget it.
But there's no reason to be unhappy. All the time you were painting, you were filled with such joy. Just the act of doing it, you'd think that's payment enough.
Well, you don't understand, Marla.
And the payment never ends. It continues for as long as you live. Every time someone sees it, is moved by it, loves it, wants it, you are paid again. And again, and again. She
was right. We brought the painting to Aldous. He loved it. Everybody loved it. I don't know who bought it or what he gave, but everybody was talking about it. And it was going from hand to hand, and everybody complimented me. They said that I was truly a great artist, and I knew it. I felt it. But why wasn't I happy? I had my work. I had a beautiful woman who absolutely adored me.
Howard?
Huh?
Howard?
Oh. Yes, what?
Oh, darling, you were just sitting there, staring at the canvas. You hadn't put your brush to it in almost an hour. Were you sleeping?
No, I'm just thinking.
You're not happy.
Why do you say that?
Well, you seem to be so far away. What are you thinking about?
$60.
Oh, what did you say?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, my darling. Look at this new one.
Yes,
It's almost finished.
I know.
Oh, how quickly you work.
Yeah.
Do you know what it shows? That you know what you are doing. The colors, Howard. Oh, the colors. Oh, darling, you must finish and bring it to order. Oh, how this will enrich the world.
Yeah? Well, it sure isn't going to enrich me. So I finished it. Then I painted another. And I finished that one, too. Oh, my brain was whirling with ideas. I was constantly making notes and sketching. Oh, there were so many things I wanted to do. I was overwhelmed with the sheer joy of creation. But there were those times when I wasn't creating, when I wasn't painting, and I wasn't very joyful. What was the matter with me?
Oh, please, tell me, Howard.
I've told you so many times.
Oh, please, don't be angry with me.
Paintings are worth thousands. Don't you understand?
But, my darling, what would you do with those thousands?
Oh, I could buy whatever I wanted.
But you can have whatever you want now.
It's not the same thing.
Why? You want to go back, don't you? I know. I remember when I first came here, I wanted to go back also.
Look, I'm not saying that
Every one of us wants to find Xanadu. And when we find it, we want to leave it. Do you want to know why? We're not used to getting our heart's desire. So we don't know what to do with it.
Oh, it isn't that.
But it passes. We lose ourselves in our work and in our joy.
Well, the truth is that I have responsibilities.
I had them too.
Marla, I must tell you, I have a wife and children.
I know that. Darling, why are you so afraid to paint, to live, to love? You do all of them so well.
I brought another picture to Alder. Alder, this very tall, very old man. He looked as if he knew every secret in the world. Could I talk to him?
I know you're not happy, Howard.
I'm not exactly unhappy.
You want to go back.
What are you doing here, Alder?
Living.
And what else?
Isn't living enough?
Well, you could live back where you came from.
Could I?
I don't know, Alder. I just don't know.
Xanadu is not for everybody.
What's the matter with me?
It isn't you. I suppose it's mankind. For so many thousands of years, the human race has had to live with tension, frustration, insecurity, fear. Who knows? These things may have become bred into us. Like the color of our skin, the size of our body. Perhaps we cannot live without fear and frustration. Some of us.
But I'm only saying that if I did want to go back, would it be possible?
Isn't everything possible?
Well, how would I do it?
How did you get here?
Well, I saw a vision.
Do you have a vision of the place from which you came?
A vision of the place from which I came. Yes. The apartment where I lived with Anna and the children. Suddenly I saw Anna in a new light. She wasn't mean or ill-tempered. She was just a woman who had become sour with disappointment. She'd had to work too hard because I didn't work hard enough. We got married when we were very young. And when that first excitement faded, there was nothing to hold us together. We never communicated with each other. And now we would not only communicate, we would understand each other, help each other. Yes, it would be different, so different. I could see the difference. I could see a new Anna, a new life for us both. I could see it. Anna.
Where have you been?
Oh, Anna, listen, it was marvelous.
You just up and take off without so much as a by your leave. I had the cops looking for you. Where were you?
In Xanadu.
And where's that?
I don't know.
Oh, don't pull that. You won't get away with it.
I have such a great new insight.
Huh? What's her name?
I saw it all so clearly. We let the early magic fade.
Who is she?
I was always afraid to paint, scared.
Are you going to tell me?
Frightened to make the commitment. So I kept putting it off year after year.
What makes you think you can just come and go?
But now I know. I know I can paint.
Yeah?
Yes. I'm a painter. I know it now. When you see.
So that's what did it, huh? Well, you better go out tomorrow morning and get a new job. Because you already lost your old one. And as far as that painting nonsense goes...
Nonsense? You call that nonsense?
Yes. Grow up. You don't have it.
Anna?
You never had it. Or if you did, you were too scared or too stupid to do it.
Is it possible you don't understand what
I do understand. I'd get a job scrubbing floors, washing clothes, anything to support this house. If you really wanted to be a painter...
I am a painter.
Well, where are your paintings? Where's your work? A painter paints.
From now on, it'll be different.
Why? You'll still be scared to compete, to face the judgment of the world. It's too late.
I won't give up my dream.
Oh, poor Howard. Poor, foolish Howard. That's exactly why you should give it up. It's only a dream.
Mr. Gordon?
What? Why, it's Howard. Look, Mr. Downey, it's Howard.
You have to help me, Mr. Gordon.
Oh, you can always count on my help, but first tell me what happened to you that night.
What happened?
I don't remember very much. Of course, we were both a couple of sheets to the wind.
Listen, Mr. Gordon.
Well, we must have been. As I recall, we drove up to some mountain and started to recite that poem by Corey.
Please.
Kubla Khan. And the next thing I remember is you shouting, "I see it, I see it." And you just ran down the hill. That was the very last I saw of you till this very moment. Whatever did happen to you?
I saw it, Mr. Gordon. I saw it.
What?
Xanadu.
Xanadu?
I not only saw it, I entered it. I lived there. I worked there. And I met a girl there.
Oh, now, just wait a minute, Howard.
Like a fool and left it. But I want to go back. I must go back.
You sure it wasn't a dream?
Now, don't start that. It was real.
Well, it couldn't be real. It wasn't even real to Coleridge.
It was real to me. And I have to go back. Back to Xanadu and back to Marla.
Now, please listen.
No one in this world will keep me from Marla. Just show me where that hill was.
The hill?
The hill, the mountain, whatever it was we climbed. On the other side was Xanadu.
On the other side was an illusion, a dream.
I want to go back to Marla. Back to Xanadu.
But there's no such person and no such place.
Don't say that.
I have to say it, Howard. It's the truth.
It's a lie. You say that again, I'll kill you.
Now, wait a minute, Howard. Don't...
Please, Mr. Gordon, take me back to the hill.
I don't know what hill you mean.
You're lying. I said I'd kill you.
But I don't know.
You don't believe what I told you.
But it's a gun.
I want to go back to Marla.
Oh,
where's the hill?
I don't know. I don't...
Stop that guy! Call an ambulance! Right away!
What have you done, man? Why did you shoot him?
You'd better call the police.
Why? Why did you do it? Listen to me, Howard. Talk to me. Why? Who is Marla?
You wouldn't understand.
How can you be sure? Tell me and see.
All right, then. I'll tell you.
And he told him. I don't know if his attorney believed him, but it was the only defense he could plead, and he presented it in court. The jury didn't know what to think. They voted guilty because of insanity and turned the whole thing over to the psychiatrists, who didn't know what to think either. But they get paid to be confused and come up with learned judgments. And there the matter must rest until I return shortly. Was it that said, after a while, the chains of slavery no longer chafe? It's probably true, for to many people. Slavery, of course, is more than physical bondage. Slavery is also a routine, a rut. Slavery can be the safety of the tried and the true, and the everyday. Slavery can also be the security of being one of the faceless members of the mob. Our cast included John Beal, Bob Caliban, Ian Martin, and Bryna Rayburn. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
What can I do for you? You are a cab driver, is that right?
Yes?
You went to 132 Clarkson Street earlier this evening, eh?
Yeah.
About 8:30 to be exact?
Yeah. I remember the time because he was very definite about wanting to get there by exactly 8:30.
Who was very definite?
Well, the man we're talking about, the man I drove up there.
All right. Let's go, Mr. Grove.
Well, my wife and I were about to go out to dinner. Do I have to come all the way down to the station?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Please don't get me wrong. I want to be all the help to you guys I can, but couldn't I just answer whatever questions you got here?
You don't seem to get it, Mr. Grove.
What do you mean?
A guy was killed at 132 Clarkson Street tonight, and we're taking you into custody on suspicion of first-degree murder.
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.